There's something about masculine psychology that most women don't understand, but that Carl Jung discovered after decades of studying the human mind. He identified 9 universal psychological vulnerabilities in men that, when understood, give you incredible power to influence, attract, and even transform any man. If this resonates with you, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps us create more content that reveals the deep psychological insights that can transform your relationships. Jung spent his entire career mapping the human psyche, and what he discovered about men will shock you. Behind every confident exterior, every display of strength, every attempt at control, there are specific psychological weak points that remain consistent across cultures, ages, and personality types. These aren't character flaws to be judged, but evolutionary vulnerabilities that exist in the masculine psyche for important psychological reasons. Understanding these vulnerabilities doesn't make you manipulative, it makes you psychologically intelligent. When you know how the masculine mind actually works beneath its protective defenses, you can communicate in ways that reach men at their deepest level, create connections that feel meaningful to them, and inspire the kind of behavior that serves both of you. The first weakness Jung identified is what he called the anima projection. Every man carries within his unconscious an image of the ideal feminine, and he's constantly looking for a woman who matches this internal template. This creates a vulnerability because when you understand what a specific man's anima looks like, you can trigger deep recognition that feels like fate or destiny to him. But here's the key insight Jung discovered. A man's anima isn't just about physical appearance or personality traits. It's about the emotional and spiritual qualities he feels are missing from his own psychological development. When you embody or represent these qualities, he experiences you as completing something essential within him. You can identify a man's anima by paying attention to the women he idealizes in movies, books, or his past. Notice the qualities he describes as most attractive or meaningful. These reveal the psychological template his unconscious is seeking. When you understand and can authentically express some of these qualities, you become irresistible to him on a level deeper than conscious choice. The second weakness Jung identified is the hero complex. Men are psychologically programmed to seek opportunities to be useful, to solve problems, to rescue or protect someone they care about. This isn't toxic masculinity, it's evolutionary psychology. Men feel most valuable and masculine when they're providing something essential that wouldn't exist without their contribution. You can activate this vulnerability by presenting challenges or problems that allow him to demonstrate his unique capabilities. But here's the crucial part Jung discovered. The problem needs to be real and meaningful, not manufactured or manipulative. Men have intuitive radar for fake helplessness, but they're powerfully drawn to authentic situations where their specific skills or knowledge can make a genuine difference. The third weakness is what Jung called the mother complex. Every man has an unconscious relationship with the archetypal mother figure, and this creates both tremendous power and significant vulnerability. Men are drawn to women who can provide nurturing and acceptance, but they're also terrified of being controlled or infantilized. You can work with this vulnerability by offering unconditional acceptance of his authentic self, while still maintaining your own strength and independence. Men feel safe to be vulnerable with women who won't use their weakness against them, but they lose respect for women who enable their irresponsible behavior. The key is nurturing his authentic growth rather than his comfort zone. The fourth weakness Jung identified is the shadow projection onto other men. Men are in constant unconscious competition with other males, and they're deeply vulnerable to women who understand and can navigate this competitive dynamic. When you show appreciation for his unique qualities in comparison to other men, when you make him feel chosen rather than settled for, you trigger deep masculine satisfaction. But Jung warned about the importance of authenticity here. Men can sense When praise is generic or manipulative, the appreciation needs to be specific and genuine, based on real observation of his particular strengths or qualities that distinguish him from others. The fifth weakness is what Jung called the transcendence drive. Men are psychologically motivated to contribute to something larger than themselves, to leave a legacy, to be part of something meaningful and lasting. They're vulnerable to women who can see and appreciate their deeper purpose and potential, who can help them connect their daily actions to their larger vision of significance. You can activate this vulnerability by asking questions about his dreams, his values, his vision for his life and impact. When you show genuine interest in his aspirations and can reflect back his potential in ways that inspire rather than pressure him, you become associated with his highest possibilities. The sixth weakness Jung identified is the fear of emotional overwhelm. Men are often less skilled at processing complex emotions, and they're vulnerable to women who can help them navigate emotional terrain without making them feel weak or incompetent. When you can remain calm and centered during emotional situations, when you can help him understand his own feelings without judgment, you become invaluable to him. But here's what Jung emphasized. This doesn't mean suppressing your own emotions or becoming his emotional caretaker. It means developing emotional intelligence that allows you to guide emotional conversations in productive directions rather than letting them spiral into chaos or conflict. The seventh weakness is what Jung called the approval addiction. Despite appearances of independence and confidence, most men are desperately seeking approval and validation, especially from women they respect and find attractive. They're vulnerable to genuine appreciation and acknowledgement of their efforts, their growth, and their character. The key Jung discovered is that this approval needs to be earned and specific rather than constant and generic. Men value appreciation that recognizes their actual accomplishments and efforts more than blanket praise that feels unconnected to their performance or behavior. The eighth weakness Jung identified is the integration challenge. Men often struggle to integrate their different roles and aspects of personality. They may be confident professionally, but insecure personally, strong physically, but vulnerable emotionally. They're deeply attracted to women who can see and appreciate their wholeness rather than just one aspect of their personality. You can work with this vulnerability by paying attention to the different facets of his character and reflecting back the connections between them. When you help him see how his various strengths and qualities work together to create his unique value, you help him feel more integrated and understood. The ninth weakness Jung discovered is what he called the authenticity paradox. Men want to be loved for who they really are, but they're terrified that their authentic self isn't good enough. They're constantly performing versions of masculinity that they think others expect, while secretly longing for someone who can see through the performance to their genuine nature. This creates tremendous vulnerability to women who can create safe spaces for authenticity, who respond positively to moments of genuine expression rather than just the polished persona. When you appreciate his authentic moments more than his impressive ones, you trigger deep attachment and loyalty. But Jung was very clear about something crucial. These vulnerabilities exist for evolutionary and psychological reasons that ultimately serve both men and the women who understand them. When you work with these patterns skillfully and ethically, you create relationships that bring out the best in both people rather than exploiting weakness for selfish gain. The goal isn't to control or manipulate men, but to understand them deeply enough to create genuine connection and mutual growth. When you understand how the masculine psyche works, you can communicate in ways that feel natural and meaningful to men, inspire behavior that serves the relationship, and create the kind of deep partnership that satisfies both people's authentic needs. Before I reveal the specific techniques Jung developed for working with each of these vulnerabilities in practical relationship situations, I need you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because what I'm about to share in the second part could transform how you approach every interaction with men, giving you the psychological insights that create lasting attraction and genuine partnership. Now I want to share with you the most sophisticated discovery Jung made about working with masculine psychology, something that will transform you from someone who struggles to understand men into someone who naturally inspires their best behavior and deepest commitment. Jung realized that these 9 vulnerabilities aren't random weaknesses to be exploited. They're actually the psychological entry points through which men can be inspired to become their highest and most authentic selves. When you understand how to work with these vulnerabilities skillfully, you don't just gain influence over men. You become a catalyst for their psychological and spiritual development. This is the difference between manipulation and transformation. Manipulation uses someone's vulnerabilities against them for selfish benefit. Transformation uses understanding of vulnerabilities to inspire growth that benefits everyone involved. Jung discovered that women who master this distinction become irresistibly attractive to high-quality men because they represent possibility rather than threat. Let me show you how to work with each vulnerability in ways that create authentic attraction and mutual growth. For the anima projection, instead of just triggering recognition, you want to help him integrate the qualities you represent within his own psychological development. When he's attracted to your nurturing nature, encourage him to develop his own capacity for care and compassion. When he's drawn to your creativity, inspire him to explore his own creative potential. Jung found that men become deeply attached to women who don't just embody their anima projection, but who help them develop those qualities within themselves. This creates lasting partnership because you're not just the external source of what he needs. You're the catalyst for him becoming more complete. For the hero complex, the key is to present genuine challenges that allow him to grow rather than just succeed. Instead of creating problems for him to solve, share your authentic goals and dreams in ways that invite his support and collaboration. When he can contribute to something meaningful to you that also stretches his own capabilities, he feels both useful and challenged to become better. Jung discovered that men bond most deeply with women whose genuine aspirations call forth their greatest efforts and highest capacities. You become associated with his growth and achievement rather than just his comfort and ego. For the mother complex, the art is to provide unconditional acceptance while maintaining clear boundaries and expectations. You want to be the safe harbor where he can be vulnerable, but also the lighthouse that guides him toward his potential. Jung found that men need both acceptance and challenge from the same source to feel truly supported. This means loving him as he is, while never settling for less than he can become. It means supporting his authentic self while refusing to enable his immature behaviors. When you can hold this balance, you become both his greatest comfort and his greatest inspiration. For shadow projection onto other men, help him recognize and own his competitive feelings rather than just reassuring him. When he's threatened by another man, instead of just telling him he's better, help him identify what qualities he admires in his competitor and how he might develop those qualities himself. Jung realized that women who help men integrate their shadow projections rather than just soothing them create much deeper security and attraction. You become the person who helps him become more complete rather than the person who protects him from his insecurities. For the transcendence drive, connect his daily actions and choices to his larger vision of significance. Help him see how his current behavior either serves or sabotages his deeper purpose. Jung found that men are incredibly responsive to women who can help them maintain connection to their highest aspirations. This means asking questions that help him clarify his values and vision, then reflecting back how his choices align with or contradict those aspirations. You become his accountability partner for his own integrity, rather than someone who enables his inconsistencies. For emotional overwhelm, develop your own emotional intelligence to the point where you can remain centered during difficult conversations while helping him navigate his feelings productively. This doesn't mean managing his emotions for him, but creating a safe container where he can learn to process them himself. Jung discovered that men become deeply attached to women who increase their emotional capacity rather than decrease their emotional challenges. You want to be the person who makes him more emotionally intelligent, not the person who handles emotions, so he doesn't have to. For approval addiction, give genuine appreciation for his efforts and growth, while maintaining standards that inspire his continued development. The key is to appreciate his progress toward becoming his best self, rather than accepting whatever he currently offers. Jung found that men are most attracted to women whose approval is valuable because it's not easily given. When your appreciation reflects real standards and genuine observation, it becomes incredibly meaningful and motivating. For the integration challenge, help him see the connections between his various roles and aspects of personality. Show him how his professional skills translate to personal relationships, how his physical strength can serve emotional courage, how his different qualities work together to create his unique value. Jung realized that men bond deeply with women who help them feel whole rather than fragmented. You become the mirror that reflects back his integrated potential rather than just individual aspects of his personality. For the authenticity paradox, create safety for genuine expression while responding more positively to authentic moments than polished performances. Show greater interest in his real thoughts and feelings than his impressive accomplishments. Appreciate vulnerability more than invulnerability. Jung discovered that men become incredibly loyal to women who prefer their authentic self to their social persona. You become the person with whom he can be real, which is incredibly rare and valuable in a world that often demands performance. But Jung emphasized something crucial about working with these vulnerabilities. Your motivation must be genuine care for his development rather than desire for control or personal benefit. Men have unconscious radar for authentic versus manipulative intentions, and they respond completely differently based on what they sense. When your understanding comes from genuine desire to support his growth and create mutual partnership, men experience your influence as loving guidance. When it comes from desire to control or get something from him, they experience it as manipulation and either resist or lose respect. Jung found that women who master this distinction naturally attract men who are capable of genuine partnership rather than men who are looking to be managed or controlled. The quality of your intentions determines the quality of men you attract and the kind of relationships you create. The ultimate goal of understanding masculine psychology isn't to gain power over men, but to create the kind of deep partnership that brings out the best in both people. When you understand how men work psychologically, you can love them in ways that feel natural and meaningful to them while getting your own authentic needs met. Jung discovered that this kind of psychologically intelligent love creates what he called mutual individuation, where both partners inspire each other's growth and authentic development. The relationship becomes a catalyst for both people becoming their highest and most complete selves. If you want to deepen your understanding of how to work with masculine psychology in ways that create authentic attraction and lasting partnership, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications for more insights that can transform your relationships. Share this video with other women who want to understand men more deeply and create more satisfying partnerships. Sometimes the most powerful transformation happens when we move from confusion and frustration to genuine understanding and skillful action. And leave a comment sharing your own experiences with these masculine vulnerabilities. Which ones have you noticed in the men in your life? How might you use this understanding to create more authentic connection and mutual growth? Because Jung's ultimate message about working with masculine psychology is this: men aren't broken or defective, they're simply different. When you understand how they're designed psychologically, you can love them in ways that inspire their best qualities rather than triggering their defenses. Stop trying to change men and start understanding them. Stop seeing their vulnerabilities as problems and start recognizing them as opportunities for deeper connection and mutual transformation. The kind of partnership you're seeking becomes possible when you approach men with psychological intelligence rather than emotional reaction.